Hello, everyone. Ex-Wallkill Bethelite here. And I have a question. If Bethel is a spiritual paradise, why is the turnover rate so high? Anytime you go to a job and you find out that there is a high turnover rate, normally something's wrong. Just about everybody I knew from Wallkill, they aren't there anymore. The reason I know that is because if you call Bethel and you ask to speak to a person that you knew was there and they're no longer there, Bethel won't tell you where they are. They won't help you contact them at all. That person could be anywhere after they left. And there were people that I wanted to call and check on, not recently, but after I had to leave. And these people were my workmates. I don't think a single one of my workmates, and keep in mind, I worked on the other side of Red Mills Road. You got Red Mills Road, you got the main auditorium, you got the front office, you got everything on one side. That's where the majority of the buildings are. They're on one side of Red Mills Road. I worked across the street in the food warehouse. The food warehouse was combined with a few other departments. One was produce. The other was cheese processing. And then you also had upstairs purchasing. None of them are there that I know of. None of them are there. Normally when you have something that is good, and I'll just say 100% I know none of them are there. Some of them I found on Facebook. None of them are there. Normally when you have something that's good, I know a lot of you are logical thinkers. When you have something that is good, I don't care if it is a good job. I don't care if it is a nice, good city that you live in. You guys got beaches and everything. I don't care what it is, a nice car. Anything good, anything nice, people are normally trying to hold on to it. They're normally trying to stay there. So I need to know why all these people are running from paradise. Answer me this question. Comment down below. Bethel is as good as it gets as a Jehovah's Witness. Now, I know that there was some debate as to whether or not the avenue of full-time service at Bethel was as good or quote unquote as spiritual as, let's say, Gilead and being a missionary. But by and large, correct me if I'm wrong down below, Bethel or the house of God or where the governing body is was considered the best place you can be, a spiritual paradise, or really a physical paradise. People viewed it as a physical paradise, as good as it gets. As far as full-time service went, that's a premium. Now, if that's correct, comment down below. Let me know if I'm missing something here. If Bethel, the house of God, was as high as it gets, as far as spiritual paradise, this is as good as it gets as a JW. Why is the turnover rate so low or so high? The turnover rate, why is it so high? There were people, because your association, um, a lot of it has to do with, of course, your congregation, but also the people in your entrance school, your Bethel entrance school. Uh, you know, those are people that you hang out with at first. The people in your department, those are people that you hang out with at first. Of course, your roommate. When you first get to Bethel, the people that you're around are your workmates, the people in your assignment, the people at your table head. Again, the people at Bethel Entrance School that's in there with you. There were people in my Bethel Entrance School that did not last a month. Explain this. I remember when I first went back to go visit family, this was something that I was telling them. I was like, there's people in my Bethel Entrance School that are gone already. You know what I mean? I don't know all of what happened, but these are kids. So it's not like they had to leave because, their wife was having a baby or something like that. These are kids. So the reason why they all left, I'm not 100% sure. But I know people in my Bethel Entrance School, some of them didn't last a month. Just as soon as I'm starting to get to know them and look for them during lunch to sit with them, hang out, those are the people I know. I can't find them. Again, anytime something is so good that you would consider it a paradise and the turnover rate is high, something's wrong. Somebody's lying. Ain't no paradise where people are running from paradise. Now, some people may think, well, there's a lot of people that get married. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that would explain why the people in my Bethel Entrance School, a lot of them didn't make it a month. That's not going to explain that, because technically, if you're going to Bethel, you're going to Bethel because you filled out an application. You're not supposed to have a girlfriend. So it's not like you go to Bethel and you are there for 3 weeks to come and see what it's like and then go date your girlfriend. That's supposed to be your career. So if people are doing that, which I've heard that there are people that are dating and then fill out Bethel applications anyway. They're dating and it's going well and they fill out Bethel application and the sister that they're dating finds out that they're in New York now. That does happen. But that's not explaining all those people that left early. I heard about a fight. I heard about a few fights. All right, that was one reason why people were leaving. Sitting in the auditorium, I remember them announcing people that had been disfellowshipped from Bethel. That's not an indication that this is a spiritual paradise. There were quite a few that would be disfellowship. It's almost like they'd be reading off a list. And if I'm not mistaken, the tie-in to the announcement of disfellowship ones was from Brooklyn, Patterson, Wallkill. I'm not sure on that because I'm hearing this from Wallkill. But I think we're hearing about people that's being disfellowshipped from whichever Bethel, whichever facility. And there was a lot. Sound like a spiritual paradigm. You hear about people remaining pioneers longer. You hear about people being in missionary service longer. And missionary service is displayed as being difficult. Missionary service is displayed as you got people way out in remote areas. You got alligators out there. You got snakes. As far as I know, people tend to be in missionary service with the snakes, with the alligators, longer than a lot of people are at Bethel. So explain why the premium of full-time service, Bethel, you have a higher turnover rate than you would with pioneers, or you would with missionaries, people that went to Gilead. Something's not adding up. Something isn't adding up unless it's not a paradise. It's not as good as they say it is. Watchtower is concerned with image and how they look. So, of course, if you have a place where the governing body is, in the main headquarters, if they are so concerned about their image, which Jehovah's Witnesses are, I mean, they are obsessed with their image, and the image of the, cult talk organization, the organization, then it makes sense that, of course, they're going to say that their headquarters, a group of factories, is Bethel, the house of God, and that it is a spiritual paradise. And as far as a physical paradise, it's as close as you're going to get. Of course, they're going to want that to be their image. There's a huge problem, though, if all those are lies. That's a huge problem. If the primary thing Jehovah's Witnesses believe to be the image of the organization is a lie, they're lying to them. It's if you think about what some Jehovah's Witnesses would use to defend Bethel's turnover rate, which is marriage. And Bethelites, when they want to get married, they have to reapply as a couple, and many times have to leave. Okay, let's talk about that, because I already know that that's what some people that are Jehovah's Witnesses are going to say. Well, people leave when they get married. Doesn't mean it's not a spiritual paradise. Okay, well, let's dig into it. Jehovah is not a God of disorder. He's not going to do things that are foolish. It makes no sense. That's something that men would do that are not being guided by God. So if you are going to establish an organization and a rule, keep in mind this is a paradise, closest as you're going to get. A rule is that if you want a wife, there's a good chance you're going to have to leave. You just wasted your time applying for Bethel in the first place. It doesn't make any sense. If I want to get married, it makes no sense for me to go and work for free or volunteer or whatever you want to call it, that is taking me further away from my goal. I need to be saving up for a home, maybe a couple of cars. If I'm going to have kids, things for the kids. These are things we all know we need. We're getting married. So if I'm getting married, it makes no sense. And this is how Bethel is designed. This design could not have come from God. That when you start getting ready to get married, you're going to go from being broke because you work for free and you've been working for free. Let's say you work for free for 3 years. That's a huge dent financially. That is a huge dent financially. Okay, so now you want to get married. That's disastrous. That makes no sense. I'm going to go from not having any money to going and getting married. That's irresponsible. It would make sense that if you're not going to have any money because you're working for free, then it would be safer for you. And if Bethel is the house of God, paradise, spiritual paradise, then Bethel would be concerned about their workers. So if it would not necessarily be safe for a person to try to get married that doesn't have any money, then out of concern for that person, you would rather them stay there. If they don't have money, it's safer for them to be at Bethel, right? Now, as far as thinking that Bethel doesn't have room, do you remember when a time when you go to an assembly and they don't have the meeting for Bethel because they're not recruiting anybody for Bethel anymore? Bethel's turnover rate is so high that I bet at pretty much every district assembly, all those people at district assembly, they're announcing to everybody that you want to go sign up for Bethel. They're having the sign-ups in a specific room where they have a little meeting, and they never stop that. They never stop having more people come in. So apparently they had room. So again, if Bethel A is what Jehovah's using, and B cares about its members, cares about Jehovah's Witnesses, cares about its workers, cares about its Bethelites, why would they think that the good idea or the safe idea or the best idea is to have a bunch of people come and work for them for free, and then when they want to get married, just have to leave? No money. No house. So now you're going to have to start, once you're ready to get married, now you're going to have to start doing something that you could have already been doing. You could have already been saving up money. You could have already been getting a place. You could have already been getting a reliable vehicle so that you can get back and forth to work. You're going backwards if you want to get married and you go to Bethel. And Bethel knows that most people are going to want a mate. That's normal, human. We all know most people are going to want a mate. So God can't be a God of disorder. It makes no sense that I'm going to have all these people come to Bethel, work for free, have no money, have no security, and then when they want to get married, send them out into quote unquote the world with no money, with no security. Now go get married. Go ahead and start saving up now. Makes no sense. If this was a spiritual paradise, they would have a place for people to be married. It doesn't take rocket science to have figured out that that's something that people would want to do. And a lot of the older people at Bethel is, what people would think would be your spiritual people looking out for everyone. A lot of them really didn't do that. I'm sure some of you may have heard that once you get to Bethel, you're technically on your own. You technically do what you want to do. As far as social is concerned, you're on your own. You try to make friends. But the concept that you have all these spiritual people and they're all watching over everyone, that's not exactly true. You kind of do what you want. You know what I mean? I've talked to people, especially when I was working in the infirmary. I talked to people that had been at Bethel their whole life, and then they're older, and they don't have anything, and Bethel has to keep them in this infirmary that is not well equipped. Anytime something happens, we have to keep sending them to the hospital because the hospital has better equipment than this paradise, closest you can get to paradise. Jehovah's Witnesses don't have any hospitals. They don't build any schools, but they have focused everything on Bethel, so you would think Bethel would be state of the art. But their facilities for the elderly are not equipped to handle half of what their needs are. And the people that I talked to, a lot of them sounded just like people that had worked in a watchtower factory for a lot of years. They had a lot of memories of old times at Bethel. I would listen to a lot of the older brothers in the infirmary tell me stories of how Bethel used to be. Tell me about Nathan Knorr. Tell me about some of the older members that I only had read about in books. But to Jehovah's Witnesses, that is spirituality. And I don't know if Jehovah's Witnesses even understand what the word spiritual is. To Jehovah's Witnesses, anything having to do with Bethel and how Bethel used to be, and one of Watchtower's procedures, whether it be knocking on doors or a method of raising your hand to answer third grade level questions in a watchtower, that's what they believe is spiritual. And it's not the case. What is spiritual isn't just whatever is attached to watchtower. It should be more of what is attached to God. It should be more centered around pursuing God. But for Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of them, what is spiritual has to do with men. It has to do with an organization of men. I guarantee you a lot of them think that the broadcasts are spiritual, and I'm telling you, everything that has to do with a group of men is spiritual. And we're getting into the cult aspect of people worshiping men. That's what they feel is spiritual. Organizational stuff. Man-made stuff. If Bethel was a spiritual paradise, you could say that the governing body has been at Bethel for a long time. Well, wouldn't they be extremely spiritual people? If that were the case, you wouldn't have all these documents stored at Bethel from all of these molesters. All these molesters and their judicial hearings where they don't do anything, those documents are all stored at Bethel. If these men were that spiritual because they've been at Watchtower for a long time and it just automatically makes people spiritual, you think that they would have dealt with this from by now. That's a very serious thing. You heard Tony Morris talking about tight pants. Does that sound like something that a very deep spiritual person would be talking about right now with everything going on? He's concerned with tight pants. There's the other things to be discussing. And Brother Hurd seems to, well, we can't use him because a lot of times now he seems to not even know where he is. Because the end has not come when people thought it would. But you've seen the Rolex watch, jewelry and things like that. You got evidence there that Bethel is not what people say it is. The people that have been at Bethel for a long time aren't what people say they are. They're not that spiritual. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Definitely let me know if I'm missing something and Bethel is not what Jehovah's Witnesses say is a spiritual paradise and the closest thing to paradise. Comment down below if that's not what they say also. But if it is, why is the turnover rate so high? Makes no sense. People kind of want to stay from paradise, not run from it, right? And now I can't call Bethel and ask for a single person in any of those departments that I worked in because they're all gone. My overseer is gone. The department overseer over my overseer is gone. I know he's gone because I saw a picture of him in Facebook with all these dogs in his house. And that can't be his Bethel room with all them dogs. So 937-789-4029. Walk Hill Bethelite signing out.